If you're responsible for compliance at your facility and you've been told you need an SPCC plan, your first question is probably, how much is this going to cost me? But if you've tried looking for a clear answer online, you've likely run into a wall of vague pricing or contact us forms that don't shed any real light on a tangible cost. Well, this video is going to break down what actually drives the cost of an SPCC plan, what you should expect to pay, and what factors cause that price to go up or down. Hey there, I'm Dennis Rowland from RMA, and if you're watching this, you probably don't have time for a compliance guessing game. In this video, we won't be quoting you exact numbers because costs can and do vary, but by the end of this, you'll understand the major pricing factors and a ballpark idea of what you can expect an SPCC plan might cost you. First off, if your facility stores more than 1,320 gallons of oil, think diesel, hydraulic oil, lubricants, cooking oils, and everything in between, then the US EPA requires you to have an SPCC plan. It's not just a document, it's a site-specific plan that lays out how you prevent and respond to oil spills. Since they're site-specific, that means where you're located, the oil stored, and specific site details will all factor into the cost. Let's run through a few high-level factors that do actually impact SPCC plan costs. First off, your facility size and complexity. A small rural site with a couple of tanks is going to cost less to assess and write a plan than a sprawling industrial facility with dozens of containment areas. This can all affect the time on site, as well as travel considerations, all of which impact the cost of an SPCC plan. This also affects the type of plan that you need. Qualified facilities may be able to self-certify with a Tier 1 or a Tier 2 SPCC plan, while others will require a professional engineer certification, which again adds to the cost. A Tier 1 plan is simpler and cheaper, while a PE certified plan is often more complex and usually more expensive. Then there are state-level considerations. Some states have similar or even overlapping regulations, which can sometimes be incorporated into your SPCC plan, allowing it to do double duty. But that often means adapting a national-level document to local rules, which again can take additional time. There's other variables too, like whether we're starting from scratch or adopting an existing document and how much information you already have versus what we need to track down. Then there are the annual and long-term costs associated with an SPCC plan. SPCC training is often available online and is usually relatively inexpensive, but if you have dozens of staff members, those costs can add up quickly as well. Spill kits may need to be purchased or even restocked. If you have a spill, then there's always going to be cleanup costs or possibly operational delays. You might need to update your plan, install containment areas, or buy new compliant tanks, all expenses that will add up. They're not strictly the cost of the SPCC plan itself, but they're certainly related. So yes, like everything else in life, the cost of an SPCC plan is going to depend, but that's not a very helpful answer on its own, so let's break it down a little bit. These are going to be rough estimates, not actual numbers, but they're in the ballpark of what you could reasonably expect to pay. So again, these aren't set in stone, but they should give you a general idea for planning and budgeting purposes. Most SPCC plans are going to fall into one or two brackets. Smaller, simpler, Tier 1 or sometimes even Tier 2 qualified SPCC plans might be between $1,500 to $5,000, especially if minimal site visits are needed. Conversely, larger or more complex operations that require a PE certified plan could easily range between $4,000 to $10,000 or more, all depending on the scope of the project. And remember, if your facility changes anything, new tanks, new processes, or new people, your plan needs to be updated. It has to be current and accurate. If you're not handling that internally, that will be an additional cost as well. If you want a more detailed breakdown or you're not sure what type of plan your facility needs, check out the full article we've linked below on our website. It walks through factors in more depth and helps you estimate your own SPCC plan requirements. And if you're ready to get specific, we'd be happy to help you figure out what's required and what it might cost for an SPCC plan at your operation. No pushy sales pitch, just honest advice. Compliance can feel overwhelming, but the more you understand what goes into a plan like this, the more confidently you can move forward. And be sure that you're buying the right plan at the right price.